Hello, folks, and welcome back to Four Corners of the Galley Sports and Jackets. And on this edition, we're keeping up with the NFL, and we're on week 4. I know what you're thinking. I got one more week of this hand. I know. I'll figure it out after that point. All right. I'm a little under the weather, folks, so if my voice sounds a little nasally, it's because I'm fighting back a cold, but the show must go on. So without further ado, let's start this week off. All right. Well, Thursday Night Football started off, which seems like forever now, in Lambeau Field, with the NFC North having a huge battle of the Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers in a classic game. This game actually is where, in their long-time divisional rivalry between each other, they're tied 133 to 133. And this is the game where the Packers blew them out, 35 to 14. Woo! Mr. Aaron Rodgers was on fire. He was throwing things all over the place. The Bears looked lost. And based on the news, they're making a change at quarterback. Here comes the rookie. So, should be some things to look forward to. Must say, this week is like the week of injuries. In this game, the Packers were dropping like flies. I mean, they lost 2 running backs within consecutive plays. Defensive players were dropping all over the place. This seemed like a theme for week 4, so there's more to come. All right, well, let's move on. And when we start Sunday, we start in London, baby. Yeah, we're back. All right. And this time we got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Miami Dolphins. 2 teams that have never been there before. And the Dolphins look like they were lost. 20-0, New Orleans Saints. Jay Cutler's back and sure not looking that good. I know there's a great quarterback out there that everybody keeps talking about. It's kind of surprising he's still out there. But let's just say, wow, Drew Brees and the Saints have figured it out. They're playing like the old Drew Brees and the Saints. Now, AP is basically no P because he's not getting any field time. And they got weapons again, but Drew looking pretty good. That defense started to get itself under control, and we might see some big things. I mean, that's 2 back-to-back wins for a team that didn't win a game in all of September for the last couple of years. So, pretty impressive. All right. Well, let's move on to the next game of the match, and then we got the Detroit Lions going to the Minnesota Vikings in an NFC North battle. A couple of NFC North battles there. And this game was a slugfest. I mean, this was a back-and-forth defensive battle with the Lions taking it 14-7. Not a high-scoring game, but a huge, huge game for both defenses, really showing that these 2 teams' defenses are for real. Now, there was no Sam Bradford. Case Keenum was in there, and this game was pretty close all the way down, but then 3 Viking turnovers really set the standard for this, and the Lions' D is for real. Mr. Terrell Austin has finally got that thing rolling the exact way he wants it to roll. So, more to come from these 2. Should be a good battle for the first place in the NFC North. Moving on. Then we got the Buffalo Bills taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And like I've been telling you guys this whole time, that Buffalo Bills defense is for real. 23-17 Bills. So Falcons escaped last week, and this week that Bills defense came to play. I mean, they were shutting down Matt Ryan all over the place, causing all kinds of confusion. Tyrod Taylor looked real nice, but that Bill defense is for real. And I'd watch out because the Patriots defense is not. Okay. Now let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Cleveland Browns. This is a AFC North battle. 2 classic teams. 2 teams struggling. 2 teams 0-3 into the game. And the Bengals come out on top 31-7. Andy Dalton looked amazing. And I don't know if it was just Andy Dalton looking that good or it was more about how bad the Cleveland Browns really are. I mean, they were bad last year. They got some new talent, some new players. You really thought they were going to take a turn. Nope. 0-4 once again. I don't know if they're going to be as bad as last year, only one game, but at this point, it is not looking good. Gotta give it to the Bengals. They get off that schneid. Andy Dalton finally looked like a normal quarterback, throwing that ball all over the place. 4 total touchdowns for him. Impressed. All right. Now we move on to a big contest where you got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Dallas Cowboys. The Rams have been real impressive earlier on, and this game did not fail impressions. 35-30 Los Angeles Rams. Rams were actually down in this game, and they came back on the Cowboys and really took it to them. Now, I must say, Jared Goff has looked impressive, but he's only looked impressive because Todd Gurley has been reborn in year 3. He is flying all over the field. 100 yards receiving, 100 yards running, 2 touchdowns. Mr. Gurley is a beast. Zeke Elliott had a huge game too, but that Rams defense finally stepped up in the second half and shut down the run game. It was kind of impressive. I actually think we have a clip of the interview with the defensive coordinator. Let's take it to that clip, guys. Okay. I don't know if the clips are working, but it definitely wasn't the coach. We'll have to look into that. Hopefully we get that fixed before the end of the day. All right. Let's move on now. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers taking on the New England Patriots. You got the number 1 offense of the Patriots taking on the number 1 defense in the Carolina Panthers. Something had to give. And the Patriots gave 33-30 Carolina Panthers. That New England defense is horrible. Tom Brady looked great. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was throwing the ball all over the place, doing what he needed to do. But that defense for the Patriots is lost. This is going to be a long year if Tom Brady's going to be expected to throw 50 touchdowns. I mean, he ain't got no superstar wide receiver. He's got some good guys out there, and he's got Gronk, but man, that defense needs to find itself. And I know that I'm really waiting for that Bills-Patriots, even though I did check the schedule, and they don't play till way later in the season, so we won't get to see that for a while. But, man, we'll see if the Patriots can get their defense turned around by this point. And then the next game on the docket, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the New York Jets. Now, based on the last 2 weeks' performances, you don't know what Jaguar team you're getting. The Jets look reborn. And I must say, a game that went to overtime, 23-20 Jets. I'm kind of impressed. The Jets look lost the first couple of games, and they have really stepped up in the last 2, and that defense has really come to play. They really battled out against the Jaguars, and the Jaguars have a great little run. I mean, Leonard Fournette looks like a beast of a running back out there running around all over the place. That defense has really stepped up, but Jets look not bad. Can't complain. Not bad at all. Might have to see what happens. I'll tell you what, that is the best team in New York at this moment. All right. Now that we're halfway through the games, let's take it out to our man on the streets and find out what the people are saying about this week in the NFL. Take it away, RG.
Hello everyone, I'm RG, back on the streets, and here we have today a random pedestrian. As always, I'm going to ask you 4 questions, sir, about the NFL. You're going to answer them as truthfully as you can. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let's begin. First question, what 2 teams are going to the Super Bowl?
I say the Raiders and the Cowboys.
Raiders, Cowboys. Okay. Is it true you wear all white on Sundays to honor Al Davis?
No.
Ooh,
Good
no.
question, though.
Okay. Howie Long or Khalil Mack?
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack. Would Jack Sparrow make a good Raider?
Yes, he would.
Ooh, he would. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm RG.
North battle where you got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Thinking this should be a good game? Nope. 26-9 Steelers. After the Ravens looked impressive in the first 2 games, they're lost. They're running around lost. Bell, welcome back. You are blowing through the league. Coming back strong. Looking nice. Now, the best thing that probably came out of this whole game was the temper tantrum thrown by Antonio Brown, but outside of that, Ravens look a little lost and the Steelers are getting their footing back, so look out for that. Then we're going to move on to the Tennessee Titans taking on the Houston Texans. This is an AFC South matchup, and had some good expectations for this game. Whoa, did I not see this coming. 57-14 Texans. Oh. Mr. Deshaun Watson, welcome to the league. If you haven't submitted yourself already, you are now the man. They finally found that quarterback to go with that defense and all those weapons they have. Whoa, they look scary. Man. I mean, Mariota looked good. He scored 2 running touchdowns, 2 beautiful running touchdowns before he got knocked out of the game with a hamstring injury. We'll have to wait to see what happens with that. But Mr. Watson, you're making all your weapons look nice. Now we move on to the game that probably put everybody to sleep. You got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Man, Talk about a game of field goals. Holy man. That's all that happened. Literally, this game went field goal for field goal for field goal for field goal for 4 quarters. They finally get to overtime. This thing, you think it's going to go all that way. Thank God, Mr. Larry Fitzgerald for saving us, taking and winning the game 18-15 in overtime with a touchdown. Man, snooze fest. Move on to the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, for one thing I can say is the Los Angeles Chargers are never out of a game. They just seem to come up short every single week. And this week was no exception. 26-24 Eagles. I mean, the Chargers got all these weapons, all these pieces, and they just, every time at the end, they just fall apart. The Eagles, after the loss of Darren Sproles from last week, just keep churning along. They finally let LeGarrette Blount loose, and he ran wild, along with Smallwood. That team is set up nicely for the NFC East. The other New York team, the New York Giants, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, this game started off, and I was like, wow. The Giants are lost. And then they showed a little comeback. And then they showed they were the Giants. 25-23 Tampa Bay. Nice victory, Mr. Jameis Winston. Didn't throw that many. Didn't look bad. Wasn't throwing any crazy balls all over the place. Shoot, Eli got in the action and even ran one in. Still wasn't enough. And then we got the Los Angeles. Vegas. The Oakland Vegas Raiders taking on the Denver Broncos. Big game, AFC West battle, and it was a good game, except some bad news came out of that, and 16-10 Broncos. Derek Carr got hurt again. I mean, that's just crazy. That's their whole team. A.J. Emmanuel came in. He tried to survive this game and really bring him back. Just didn't go that well. That Denver Bronco defense is retarded. That the rushing against the Broncos has only accounted for 95 yards for the whole season. I mean, they're just stopping people left and right with that running game. And then their corners are just as good. But the bad news is that Carr's out for a little bit. We have to wait and see. I mean, like I said, this is the week of injuries. Missed a couple. The Minnesota Vikings lost their star running back, Dalvin Cook, for the season. He tore his ACL in a play where he didn't get touched. That was nasty looking. It's just a bad game. Mariota's out for a little while. Then you got Derek Carr that went out for a while. Just a real bad week for injuries and star players. So hopefully that turns around. And for the Sunday night game of the week, we had the Indianapolis Colts traveling to the Seattle Seahawks. And I've sensed a theme watching these Seahawks games this year. The first half of the game, they look rusty, lost, and beatable. And then the second half, they just turn a switch or something, and they figure it all out. And just like this week, 46-18 Seahawks. Woo! I mean, the game was a great competitive game. You're like, wow, Colts came to play. Jacob was in there running around looking great. And then Russell Wilson woke up. That defense woke up on a beautiful interception pick six in the second half. And then Russell Wilson woke up, and it was over at that point. Seahawks look good again. I can't wait for this matchup this week where you got the Rams taking on the Seahawks for first place. That's going to be a great matchup. I mean, woo! Man. All right. Now let's move on to Monday Night Football. And for Monday Night Football, let's take it out to our correspondent, AG. Take it
Hello,
away,
folks.
AG.
AG here. Sorry I missed last week. I was out scouting for the big war that is happening this week. The Chiefs versus the Redskins. I've got my travel mask here. It's going to protect me. I hope the Redskins win because the Chiefs suck. Back at you, PBO.
All right, AG. Thanks for that insight. I'm glad we found you. I see you were out there making sure you got your mask on properly. Good to see. All right. Well, I don't know if those results in it. It was a good game between them. But joining me on this week 4 of NFL recap. I'm glad for you sticking through it. I was a little under the weather, but we powered through, and I can't wait to see you guys until next week. Oh, wait a second. I think I might have that clip fixed. Let's take it back to the clips. No. Yep. We're just going to have to work on this clip machine until next week, folks. All right. Well, for AG and RG, I'm Peebo. I'd like to thank you. Good night, Ted.